guys, it is the Voodoo Doll from Noir Grimoire, and today I'm going to be talking about family systems. Why this is important is it's important to know where you stand within the family system. It's also important to be able to decipher if a family system is dysfunctional or toxic. If you have grown up in a dysfunctional or toxic family system and you just don't know it, and also being able to recognize that so you can stop the cycle. I do a lot of self-help videos on this channel, on this little magic channel of mine, and people may think, why do you care so much about that? Teach us magic, teach us, the cow tongue spell or whatever it is. I can teach you that shit all day long. You are never going to be any sort of a profound mage if you do not master yourself. That is what everybody says in magic. It is the foundation of magic. It is Aleister Crowley's foundation is know thyself. You have to know yourself. You cannot manifest a damn thing if you have negative energy in your body that you don't know where it's coming from. You can't control your vibration, and you're doing magic and then attracting bad shit right back to you because you don't know how to get out of that vibration, because you are a bad spell walking in skin with 2 eyes and 2 legs and 2 arms. So this is why I am teaching you how to master your emotions, how to reset your energy meridians, how to gauge your wheel of happiness, how to control your life, how to really get inside of your head. You cannot go around trying to curse other people and do love spells for yourself when you don't fully know and love yourself. Why do you keep having breakdowns with partners that leave you needing a mage to do a love spell for you? Possibly you don't need a love spell, possibly you need therapy, and that would be the magic spell for you to solve all your problems and let you have a conducive relationship with someone that lasts forever. Magic is not just hocus pocus stuff and cursing people and love spell this. Real magic can be transformation, changing yourself. That is the most permanent, most amazing, powerful magic you can ever do in your life, is changing yourself and mastering yourself. You are something that needs to be mastered. You are a tool. If you're trying to use yourself as a tool or a conduit to evoke change through magical purposes, then you have to master yourself first. What type of tool are you? Are you just a tool with no purpose? You're just a dick. Are you, what type of tool are you? Once you start coming into your power and really mastering who you are, you can do profound change in your life and the life of others. But you have to change yourself first and be able to go through that pain and the dark night of the soul to be able to come out on the other end. You're never going to be any sort of successful mage if you do not have yourself in check and in control. And anyone that is saying that they're out here doing magic and they're a powerful mage and, they are on their 5th divorce, they're arguing with, babies' dads, and they always have drama, and they got in a fist fight in the club last week. Please leave that person alone. That person is not living and walking in their full power. They're walking in chaos. So let's talk about family systems. I'm going to read to you the traits of a dysfunctional family. It was important enough for me to write out notes. I'm just going to read from them because I don't want to miss anything and have to go back and try to edit this. So here we go. So here are the traits of a dysfunctional family. Dysfunctional families are characterized by the defense mechanism denial. There's usually emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. There's shame of parents, family, and self. Dysfunctional families are created when dysfunctional individuals get married and have children. A dysfunctional family keeps family secrets. They put up a front to the outside world and to each other. Their characteristics has led to the observation that we're only as sick as the secrets that we keep. Enmeshed relationships lack of personal boundaries. Feelings are internalized. Free expression of feelings is discouraged. Manipulation to get needs met and to control others is common. There's a grim atmosphere within the family. Communication and openness is stifled. Relationships become very dependent. Intimacy problems in relationships are the normal. They can't trust people or get close to them. Chaotic family structure and unclear rules. rigid attitudes, reverence for the past and tradition, frequent illness, jealousy, and suspicion. Let's just digest that for a minute. A lot of the things that I just read, you may not have any of them, or you may have a couple. Every family has dysfunction. Every family has some sort of dysfunction, but this is severe. You know, if you're coming from a family that has severe dysfunction. If 5 or 6 of these are you're coming from a severely dysfunctional family. And also too, you know, I don't care for religion, but rigid rules and traditions, Orthodox Judaism, being, you know, devout Catholic, must go to church 5 times a week. Those are the kids in those types of environments that have issues, because it doesn't allow for expression. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that these are the children that have issues. And I will read to you, there's 4 different types of the ways we can develop in children in multi-child homes. So if there's 3 kids, there's going to be 3 of the 4 types that I'm about to read, and you can identify yourself as what child you are, which child you are. Just in case we don't know the traits of a healthy family, I'm going to go ahead and read those for you too. You know, some people don't know, you'd be surprised. In a healthy family, so we have differences are encouraged and embraced. Self-expression and communication are present. Rules are explicit and clearly understood. There is respect for the individual with individual freedom. Consistent value system. Open-mindedness. New traditions are encouraged and embraced. They are healthy. Independent growth fostered. Trust and love are present. Self-worth within members of the family. Flexible boundaries and pleasant atmosphere. Individual personal growth is encouraged. It is encouraged. And a lot of you have probably been, you know, friends with someone who has a dysfunctional family system, and they actually are a pillar of the community. The father's a preacher. The mother is the doting mom. She has 6 kids. She volunteers for everything. Everybody thinks they're perfect. And when you get into their house and say you do a little sleepover with your friend, you find out that the dad's an alcoholic and the mother is beating the shit out of the kids, because they are keeping up appearances. They have to adhere to their religious traditions and boundaries and rules, and that creates dysfunction because it's too rigid and it doesn't allow for anything new. So I'm going to read you here, again, reading, so excuse that, but this is really important, and I don't want to just freeball it and talk and end up forgetting something. So these are the 4 types of children that you can have within a family system. These are the roles of children in dysfunctional families. Now pick yourself out in this. So we have the 4 roles of children. So the hero is the first one. This is usually the role taken by the oldest child. This person is a high achiever. They're always doing what is right. They're type A behavior, workaholic. They usually marry dependent people who they can control and manipulate. They have a high need for approval. They feel inadequate. They can never do enough. There's a lot of anger, denial, and fear going on. They suffer from low self-esteem, very prone to suicide, and they feel the self-worth role within the family through achievement. And we all know that person. The second type of child is the scapegoat. This is the problem child. There's a lot of acting out the underlying family problems. All the dysfunction of the family comes out in them. Hostility and defiance are common, as are trouble with authority and the law. They feel very inadequate, no self-esteem at all. They feel rejected. They give up easily, and as an adult, they often become an addict or an alcoholic. They have legal problems and are always getting in trouble. Now let's say something about this scapegoat. The scapegoat is usually the one that's acting out the family dysfunction. And to just go a little bit deeper into that, that means that they are the one that is trying to, they're the most normal one normally. They try to keep the family together. They're trying to keep homeostasis. So it comes out in a toxic way. Subconsciously, my family is falling apart and there's no unity within my family. No one listens to each other. We don't spend any time together. So I'm going to develop a drug problem. Now, that is not an ideal solution, but out of this drug addiction, the family comes together. Maybe there was an impending divorce. Now that divorce is on the back burner because this child is in crisis. They're acting out, they're on drugs, or they're an alcoholic, or they've gone to jail again. That drug addiction keeps the family together. That drug addiction makes the family all talk to each other because they're all a part of that therapy normally. When you're dealing with the child that's drug addicted, you don't usually just deal with the child, you're dealing with the family and all of the other siblings. So that addiction serves a purpose within that family system. And that's what I mean when I say that they're acting out the family's dysfunction. If they are always going to jail trying to get attention, maybe that's the only way that they can get any sort of attention in the household is by breaking the law. So the scapegoat is the one that's normally very normal, and they are having a lot of issues because they're having trouble adapting in that environment, and they're trying to solve it. So by solving it, it could be, like I said, getting kicked out of school all the time, whatever it is that makes a momentary pause where the family functions as a family, even for just that moment, while they're trying to solve that scapegoat's problem that they've created subconsciously to try to make a more happy family. So the third one is going to be the lost child. The lost child, this is the loner, the daydreamer. Nobody notices this child. They're a high emotional sexual. So if you don't know what that means, please watch my video on ENP, on emotional and physical sexuality. There are issues of abandonment, pain of being unloved and rejected. The lost child is not allowed to have feelings. They are comfortable being by themselves. They have a hard time making friends. They have feelings of loneliness and inadequacy. They have little awareness of their anger. As an adult, they may become promiscuous. They often die early, and they lead unhappy lives. They are indecisive. And then you have the fourth child, which is the mascot. This is the clown. Anything for a laugh. They do things for attention and for love. They're fragile, over anxious, and have a high need to be protected. They also have low self-esteem and they feel unimportant. They don't know why they are here. They usually marry later in life. They withhold a lot of secrets, and as adults, they cannot handle stress. They are screaming inside, and they are dependent, and so they marry the hero. And so that's the cycle. Those are the 4 types of kids. So pick out who you are in here, or look at your children. If you have 3 kids, sit down and label these kids. Because what you want to do is you're going to want to learn as much as you can about who these children are developing into and how you can stop that cycle, because it's not too late. If there's still kids in there at home, it's not too late to stop that cycle. Children that have trouble trusting grow up to be very troubled adults, and they usually have poor boundaries, meaning that they're the whores and very promiscuous, or they don't like touch. They have a lot of anger and a lot of rage, and they have trouble expressing themselves. They have been abused in some sort of way or neglected by a parent, and they just don't have trust. And so this comes out in your relationship when you're trying to love them, especially if you're trying to love them properly. You may have some pushback. Another problem with the dysfunctional family is going to be the emotional divorce. So emotional divorce is the family that, or the parent, shall I say, that agreed to not disagree. They never disagree. They will not discuss things because they don't want to disagree with one another. They would rather sit around and have stomach ulcers than disagree to keep up the perfect appearances. Now, this is what leads to compulsive behavior, which would be, I'll say it religiously, because a lot of these religious guys, or a lot of these executives, people that have strong roles or rigid boundaries, they have these problems. They come to therapy, and the person is addicted to porn, and maybe not just any porn, animal porn. Or you have the person that's going out and hiring prostitutes and having unprotected sex behind his wife's back. And this is true. It is real. It really happens because of the emotional divorce in the marriage. They cannot talk to their partner. Arguments bring you closer. It allows you an opportunity to learn about the other person, their boundaries, their triggers, your boundaries, your triggers, where you fall short at, where your strong points are at. And if you do not, if you don't allow yourself to argue with your partner, and you try to do anything to keep up appearances, you're pushing yourself and your partner to these extremes. One of the two of you will most likely have some sort of compulsion to have an affair outside of the marriage, or you're just not happy. Drinking in your car, doing drugs on the side. Maybe they go out and they binge once every 4 months. Whatever it is, it will come out. It doesn't stay in. Whatever you try to keep in comes out. And if it doesn't come out between you guys, it will come out with your kids. So you have to be very careful of that. And just knowing that arguing is a part of being married, and there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. These people are so unhappy. They'll be married for 75 years, and not one of those years was happy. And, you know, their achievement is that, well, we've been together for 75 years, you know, and they have 36 grandchildren and 7 kids. Who gives a fuck? You were miserable the whole fucking time. And the only time you ever had sex were those 7 times, and that produced those 7 kids. Haven't fucked in 65 years. So who gives a damn if you've been married for 75 years? The emotional divorce is very painful, and it's painful for the children. The children know, especially when triangulation starts to happen where you're talking to the children and through the children, but you don't talk to each other. So, you know, telling the kid, you know, passive aggressively, you know, oh, well, tell your dad I said take the trash out or whatever. He forgot to take it out last time. And the kid has to go be the go-between, you know, and the dad says something passive, oh, sure, I'll take the trash out, tell your mom to put out or something. You know, it's very toxic to triangulate between children. That causes a lot of dysfunction too, especially when the children see it. Children that were abused or neglected or any sort of mistreatment usually grow up and do that same thing to other people, including their children. Another type of dysfunction is codependency. Now, codependency is overdoing, always putting others before yourself, the martyr. The codependent person is lying for their alcoholic partner. The person's an alcoholic and they're saying, oh, you know, he can't work because he's you know, having a little sickness, or you know, he's got gout or whatever it is. They're always making excuses. The codependent person needs to be loved and needed. They are the enablers and the helpers. These codependent people are these motherfuckers you see on 600 Pound Life frying 2 chickens and a duck and some stuffed Oreos for the person that is 650 pounds in the fucking bed, and enabling them, knowing that that person cannot get this nasty food without them. They could only bring the person vegetable and broccoli and let the person scream to the top of their lungs. What are they going to do? They can't, you know, drive to the store. They have to deal with it. But no, because they need to feel needed, they are going to enable that person. That solves the riddle of how the hell are you single and every bitch on 600 Pound Life has 2 boyfriends and a mistress. It's because of that. They are finding codependent people. Has nothing to do with an attraction to someone who's 695 pounds. The attraction is, I feel love when I am needed. If I am not needed, I do not feel loved. Their parents didn't pay attention to them and they weren't loved. So they learn to garner love by being the pleaser, the overdoer, the selfless martyr. That is that person. And that's normally when you see on 600 Pound Life, such a great example, when the people do the gastric bypass and they start to lose the weight, that partner starts to be verbally abusive or becomes, you know, obsessive or super jealous, or they think that they're going to leave them. Has nothing to do with them thinking somebody else wants them. It has everything to do with them not having a role in that person's life and not being needed. They don't know how to feel love. So if that person were to get down to 100 pounds and be able to do everything themselves, the husband would most likely leave, or the codependent person is going to leave and go find somebody else who's 800 pounds because the other person doesn't need them anymore. Even though they're healthier, they're looking better, doesn't matter, I'm not needed. So those are the people that go for cripples, morbidly obese people, alcoholics, drug addicts. They always got to fix somebody. And you keep saying, why do you keep dating these crazy people? That answers your question, that this person or yourself are codependent, and you don't know a healthy way of love. You don't know how to love yourself, and you've never been loved properly. So that is the codependent, and that's a really hard thing to break in therapy, but of course it can be done through hypnotherapy and psychotherapy. So now we have talked about basically just the basis of these dysfunctional families. What you want to do if you have identified that you are in a dysfunctional family unit and you're trying to stop doing it to your kids, or you don't have kids but you want to marry someone and you want to make sure that you're not attracting someone who has dysfunction like you, because you will attract that. You may not even want to, but it's what's comfortable for you. If you grew up in dysfunction and you attract a super healthy, loving mate, most likely that person's going to leave you, or you're going to have so many problems because you're unhealthy and you're blaming it on them, and you know, trying to project and do things to them that to make it think it's them, and it's not, it's you. You're broken. They came from a home where they are loved correctly. They know how to communicate correctly. The problem will be you every time. So this is what you need to do, these steps to nip this in the butt. Therapy. Therapy, therapy, therapy. I cannot say it enough. Therapy. I'm going to read some books here for you that are higher learning. I do not have my glasses on, so I'm blind. Excuse me. Suggested reading. So, Adult Children of Alcoholics. This is by Janet Geringer Woitotz. I'm going to spell this for you. It's I'll spell it down on the bottom as well. It's Janet, and it's Geringer, Geringer, and the last name is Woititz, Woitotz. Adult Children of Alcoholics is one book. Another book you can read is Bradshaw on the Family, A New Way of Creating Solid Self-Esteem, and that's by John Bradshaw. And the last book is Leaving Home, Therapy of Disturbed Young People, and that is by Jay Haley. And these are books you can look up. You can even Google search books overcoming family dysfunction. The first, most important thing is acknowledging that this is what's going on. The second part is stopping it. And only a psychotherapist or a hypnotherapist is going to be able to do that for you. You also want to just make sure that you're talking to your family. If there is some resistance on group therapy, whatever, go to therapy yourself, because there's always going to be change that trickles down, and that's why it's important to go to a licensed psychotherapist, because this person is going to be able to change you within the family system without necessarily disintegrating the family system. You tell them the situation, nobody's willing to go to therapy with me, I'm the only one that wants to change, and working with them on your dysfunction, and they will be able to enable you and empower you of how to work within your family system. If it's a disrespectful sister that's always going to get started with you at the barbecue, being able to not engage with her and realizing, you know what, she's the scapegoat and she's always going to act that way, and I'm not going to engage that because now I see clearly through her. She's functioning in dysfunction, and I'm above that now. And you'll see how your life starts to change, and teaching your children, apologizing to your children for anything that you've done wrong or any dysfunction that you've caused, and letting them know that we're going to do this a different way now. Some of you may just have to straight up leave your fucking partners because you've just been in constant dysfunction. And when you start functioning right and start getting your children functioning right, they're always going to bring dysfunction and chaos. You can't survive in that and be healthy, and the other person doesn't want to change. So it really is a group effort. But anyhow, you need to talk to a therapist for that. Don't follow my advice. I don't want any letters about how you jumped up and left your husband and everything's fucked up now. So just be mindful that there is room for growth, and that change needs to happen, and be confident that you can make the right decisions with the tools in the last video of how you need to proceed forward. So that is it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.